Hello Pokemon trainers, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Battle Stadium singles video here on iStarly TV. This is part of my newer series where I showcase a Pokemon moveset that you can use in Battle Stadium singles, and typically this is going to be a unique moveset, sometimes with a unique Pokemon. And so today we are featuring Golurk, which I think is just one of the coolest Pokemon out there. It's been one of my favorite designs since Gen 5 came out, since it came out in Gen 5, and it doesn't get a lot of love, I think for good reason, and I'm going to show you a moveset that I really like, and I've been testing it out on the ladder, and been doing pretty well with it actually, surprisingly. So I'll have a video coming out featuring Golurk in an actual team, so if you want to try that out, that'll probably be the next video I post either tomorrow or the day after. But as of the making of this video, I just wanted to kind of show off a way that you can make Golurk work in Battle Stadium singles. Now, this is a shiny Golurk, which is even better. And let's get right to the moveset. So, Golurk has a lot of strengths and a lot of weaknesses, which is why you rarely see it. I think the biggest weakness it has is that it's so slow and its typing is pretty awful defensively. It's weak to a lot of things, weak to a lot of very common things, and even on top of that, it does not have very many resistances or immunities. It actually does have a few immunities, which is cool, but it doesn't have very many resistances, so even common types like Fire and Fairy, for example, and Dragon and Steel, for example, still do neutral damage to it, and because it's so slow, it's going to be taking a lot of damage before it's able to dish out a lot of damage. Of course, it's also weak to Dark and Ice and Water and Ghost, which are all very common typings in Battle Stadium singles, and those are not good weaknesses to have. So beyond that, however, I think Golurk's strengths are in its typing, surprisingly. Offensively, Ground and Ghost is pretty good. Those are good types to have Stab on. And its move pool is also really good in that it gets pretty much everything it needs to have almost perfect coverage. So here's the Golurk set we're talking about. It's simply Focus Sash so that we can guaranteed survive a hit against something and then deal a lot of damage to them. Importantly, we have the No Guard ability and the Dynamic Punch move. So we have Dynamic Punch and Stone Edge, which are two moves that are highly inaccurate, but because of No Guard, they are 100% accurate. So No Guard, of course, what it does is it makes all of your moves 100% accurate effectively, but it also makes your opponent's moves 100% accurate. So that's important to keep in mind. If you're up against Pokemon with like Fissure, or that could potentially have Fissure, definitely keep that in mind. If you're again up against Pokemon with inaccurate moves that they're trying to hit, keep that in mind as well. But I think the trade-off is more worth it for you to be able to hit Dynamic Punch and Stone Edge 100% of the time. And what this ends up being, so the moves here, as you can see, are Dynamic Punch, Poltergeist, Earthquake, and Stone Edge. And this ends up being just kind of like a Dynamic Punch machine. Often you're just going to be clicking Dynamic Punch against most things so that you can confuse them, because Dynamic Punch is 100 base power, fighting type move, which is pretty good. It's 50% accurate, but because of No Guard, it's 100% accurate. And it always confuses the enemy. 100% of the time, it will confuse the enemy. So that is what you want to be using on Golurk. You're going to click Dynamic Punch. You're going to do a lot of damage to Pokemon that are weak against it or that take neutral damage from it. And you're going to confuse them, which of course can be super, super valuable. Even if you're up against, what I've found in testing is that even if you're up against like a Dragonite, sometimes you still want a Dynamic Punch turn 1 because they might go Terra Normal or Terra Steel and not expect a Dynamic Punch. But even if they don't Terrasilize, you're still confusing them, which is really valuable against a Pokemon like Dragonite. And then you can follow up with Stone Edge or Earthquake if they Terrasilize. And yeah, I mean, obviously there's Pokemon that are weak to it, like Chien-Pao, for example. You always live a hit from Chien-Pao thanks to that Focus Sash. And you basically one-hit KO them with the Dynamic Punch. So yeah, Golurk can be really scary if you play it right. That is going to require a lot of team support. And again, like I said, I have a team built around it that I will feature in my next video, which is a team that tries to kind of capitalize on Golurk and support Golurk to the best of its ability. So you do want to keep that in mind when you're building your team. You want some Pokemon. You want Pokemon with Stealth Rock so that they can, weaken up the opponent when they switch in. Pokemon with paralyzing moves like Thunder Wave, so that you could paralyze them, and then when you go into Golurk, if you confuse them, that's also really great. Also, if you paralyze them, Golurk is likely to be faster than them, which is also really nice. As far as EVs, I'm going max attack and max speed. You definitely want max attack with an adamant nature. You could run this Golurk set on a Trick Room team if you wanted, and of course in that case you would run a Brave Nature with max HP and max attack, but I thought max speed is good because, again, the team that I'm featuring, it has a Pokemon that can paralyze them, and so if they are paralyzed, then that's also really nice because having that speed means you'll outspeed a lot more things. Golurk's speed tier, obviously it's really slow, and around its speed tier, you know, it is naturally faster than important Pokemon like Ursaluna, King Gambit, Ting-Lu, for example. But those Pokemon never invest in speed either, so if you want to just run max HP, you also can do that. And again, the common Pokemon that you're faster than anyway, they never even invest in speed, so they'll pretty much never outspeed you anyway, so that could be an option as well. As far as Terra type, I went for the Stellar Terra type, which is pretty interesting. When I was brainstorming this set, I considered what would be a good defensive Terra type because, of course, as I've said, Golurk has a really bad defensive typing, and so maybe going like Terra Water could be worth it, or Terra Steel possibly. But since I don't have any water moves or steel moves to kind of capitalize on that, I just thought instead of going defensive, I would just go purely offensive, which is what Stellar Terra type does. Stellar Terra type will give you a boost to each of your moves once. So, you know, that's perfect for Golurk, I think, because we have 4 different moves that can do a lot of damage against different things. And we're probably not going to be surviving very long, so it's fine to just, if we ever are going to terrestrialize Golurk, I think it's fine to just get those bursts of damage, because Golurk will probably faint, you know, not too long from from when it starts using these moves. So the goal with Golurk is to just get in those bursts of damage when the opponent doesn't quite expect it. So that's what I found to work the best for Golurk. Few more things, you know, as for its moves, you know, Dynamic Punch is a given. You must run that since you're running No Guard. Its other abilities are not quite as good. I mean, Iron Fist is decent, but it doesn't get that many great punching moves, and you never want to run Dynamic Punch if you are not running No Guard. So No Guard is just great because of Dynamic Punch and Stone Edge. Again, Stone Edge is great for flying types that would otherwise resist Dynamic Punch. Earthquake is very, very good, and it's great stab. The final move there is Poltergeist, which is very good. It's a really strong ghost type move, which gives it a really, really good stab. But keep in mind that Poltergeist will fail if the opponent does not have an item. There are important cases where that will come up, so keep that in mind. Don't always just spam Poltergeist against something that would be weak to it, because if they happen to not have an item, it will fail. It will not do anything. Now, most of the time, it won't fail. Most of the time, the opponent will have an item, but a couple important cases to keep in mind are notably against Fluttermane, for example. Fluttermane most commonly holds the booster energy item, so when Fluttermane goes into battle, it basically consumes its item right away. So if you are up against Fluttermane with booster energy, you can never use Poltergeist against it. Now, the upside is Fluttermane's pretty weak on the physical defense, so clicking Earthquake will probably do just as much damage as you want. You know, you can terrestrialize an Earthquake and kill it, or even just a regular Earthquake might kill it, depending on how much EVs they have in defense. So keep that in mind though, because, you know, Fluttermane is probably, you know, they might go in against you if they don't expect the Focus Sash, so you might be able to catch them off guard and kill them with an Earthquake. Just don't click Poltergeist if they have the booster energy. Another important situation is maybe against Goldango. Sometimes Goldango runs Trick, and if they trick you like a Choice Specs, for example, or a Choice Scarf, and they get your Focus Sash, if your Focus Sash has already been broken, for example, the Goldango will no longer have an item. So, or if the Goldango tricks you the item and they get your Focus Sash and then you hit them, they no longer have an item, so again, your Poltergeist will no longer do anything. So Poltergeist is not good against booster energy Pokemon, not good against trick Pokemon, Pokemon with berries like Citrus Berry, etc. But luckily, again, Golurk has such amazing coverage with the other moves that it has, that even if you cannot use Poltergeist, you're going to still have a strong move to hit the opponent with, regardless of who they are. So that is my Golurk set. You know, I wanted to make this video a little relatively quick and just kind of explain the basics of it. Once again, in my next video, I will have a team featuring Golurk to show off what it can do, but I was testing with it on Showdown, and honestly, it was surprising how strong it was. I mean, it's not like you're gonna bring it every single game, because there are gonna be teams where the opponent's really, really good against you, and most Pokemon can kill you pretty easily, but if you can leverage Golurk's strengths and support it well, it is a very good Pokemon. So I love this design, and yeah, it hits really hard. That's all you need, right? Sometimes that's all you need. So I hope this video helped you out. Please leave a like and subscribe for more Pokemon Scarlet and Violet videos like this, and let me know in the comments what you think of this Golurk set. Do you have any other recommendations for how to use Golurk? Sadly, one move that was kind of good on it was Atomize, which doubles its speed. It's basically like an agility variant. And Golurk no longer has that move, nor does it have any other move like that to boost its speed. So those types of sets are out of the question now, but if we are playing to Golurk's strengths, we can still use it pretty nicely. So thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. Talk to you next time.